I think for me, it was a bit different than most people that come to IMS because I come from a clinical background. So I'd worked within NHS for about 3 to 4 years, and I was doing medicine at the time. And during my third year, I really wanted to explore what research was like and then work within something which I could make an impact on. So I think diabetes was a big thing because of obviously family and sort of close relatives who had diabetes, and finding out where diabetes research was being done, I found that actually IMS was doing quite a lot of work on hybrid closed loop systems. So I decided to sort of come here and explore sort of diabetes, but also insulin resistance research, and to try and work with clinicians and researchers over here. So then I could maybe sort of, see or get a flavor of what it was like, and then hopefully take it up in the future. I started working immediately after A levels as a HCA on ICU and stroke unit, and within that gap year, developed a sort of a passion for cardiometabolic diseases. I then went to ICU and then started medical school at the same time. At medical school, I realized that cardiometabolic disease was a passion, and I wanted to get a flavor for what research was like. And so I decided to come to IMS because this was a sort of renowned department within that field. My passion was diabetes and sort of insulin resistance. So looking around sort of the UK, which universities I could go to study this, I found that actually IMS at Cambridge was a sort of world-renowned department within this field. And I came here to mainly work within insulin resistance. But while looking at projects, I actually came across type 1 diabetes for hybrid closed loop systems, which Professor Howoka does quite a lot of work on. So that was a sort of starting point for me, and that's what really pulled me to IMS. And I started my project for my master's in closed loop systems. So due to sort of family and relatives having diabetes, I was sort of pulled to that field a lot. And at Cambridge, diabetes research was being done on a large scale by quite a few researchers, especially within insulin resistance. So I decided to sort of pick the Howoka lab to come here and work and sort of explore this passion of mine. I think the experience for me has been humbling, because you realize that whilst you might have learned stuff at med school, you actually don't even know 1%. So it's been quite a sort of, it's been rewarding and humbling at the same time because I've learned a lot, but I've also realized what I don't know, and that is pretty much everything. So it's been quite a roller coaster of a year, but I think no matter where you start, you come out a better person than when you started. For me, it's been a case of realizing what I was passionate about, but also how to explore that even further. And coming to the IMS, the department always offers great support. So I think for me, I felt like I would be a sort of a tiny person who'd be ignored by everyone within the department. But actually, the collaborative nature of research is the fact that no matter how insignificant you think you are, you play a huge role in research. And everyone over here makes you feel part of the team, and they welcome you into sort of asking questions and becoming a better person. So I think for me, it's been an eye opener in realizing research is not about one person or a department. It's about the entire people within the department who work together to bring about really big and substantial changes. On our course, it's been a mixture of people coming in. So some people with a medical background, similar to myself, some people who come from a neuroscience background. But because everyone comes together from a different background, we sort of amalgamate into a nice cohort which can spend time together, can talk about different things. But also, it's important to realize downtime is key in research. You can't spend the entire day working. So at the end of the day, when you finish work and you finish your research and you go and hang out, at the pub or not down by the river, there's a lot more sort of to talk about because of these differences and because of how everyone comes from a different place. Everyone fits in, no matter how much experience you have, whether you're 18, 25, 30, 60, retired. I think everyone can get along with each other because research sort of brings about people with different experiences, and it's those experiences that come together to shape who you are. And I think, I've learned a lot from people who are younger than me, people who are older than me, mainly older at the department. But, I've realized how sort of great this sort of collaborative nature of the department is. I think no matter where you start, everyone thinks that they're not good enough. You have imposter syndrome. But by the time you come to the end, you realize how much that collaborative nature, how much of the sort of time you spend within your labs doing research, talking to PIs, talking to fellow PhD students or MPhil students, you pick up so much information that at the end of the year you're someone who's at a much better place than they were in the beginning. And imposter syndrome, it doesn't sort of go away. You have it as a PI, you have it as a PhD student, you have it as a senior sort of professor. So that shouldn't hold someone back from applying to the department and trying to sort of come to Cambridge to try and pursue what their passion is. I think because of the department and how many projects they offer, over the year that you do your masters, especially for me, I've realized that I don't like certain things and that I'm fascinated by other research that's happening. So for me, that's been a really big eye opener. And I've spoken to researchers about my interest, and it's helped me narrow down my future options. That if I were to go down further research, I would pick those researchers to work with and collaborate on projects with. The key lesson that I would take from my year at Cambridge is if you don't try, you won't know how good you are. So just give it a try. The worst that can happen is no, and you might get rejection. But the best that can happen is that you discover a whole new world where, there's endless possibilities. So give it a go and see how things go in the future.